fellow by the name of Gilbert Chesterton made the comment once that a man must love a thing very much if he not only practices it without any hope of fame or money, but even practices it without any hope of doing it well. Well, so far as this work goes, there's no question but what there is no fame or money involved. And apparently, I can never hope to do it very well. Inasmuch as within the nature of the beast is every tendency to keep us from doing it well. By doing it, I guess I mean being the being that being is being. And while we are that being and cannot keep from being that being, it does seem that this human experience is in many ways the obverse of it, and tries most diligently to keep us from living it consciously. A meditative tape would be a tape in which a thought is presented, sounds are made that evoke or evince thought, and then there's a period following it in which one is given the opportunity to to think those thoughts and to live them. I'm sitting downhill from a beautiful apple tree, and I am at the level where my eyes are even with all of the apples that have fallen underneath the tree. And there are literally hundreds of apples there that are rotting, and they're all covered over with a swarm of bees. And an occasional bird hops down, a jay or a mockingbird, and they are pecking away at the apples and occasionally making a swipe at the bees that are there. And when the wind blows this way, I smell the fragrance of apple wine. But I'm just at that level where I can see all of the activity going on. I see the apples, just being apples, lying as little lumps against the soil. But then I see the great swarm of bees in all directions. And I can tell you that the bees become intoxicated. They eat the fermented apples, and then the bees go ape. They get just drunker than skunks and really don't know what they're doing. So it's quite a barroom scene I'm looking at up there, really, if you want to know the truth. Joseph Conrad observed something that has stuck with me over the years. He said that resignation, not mystic, not detached, but resignation open-eyed, conscious, and informed by love, is the only one of our feelings for which it is impossible to become a sham. Resignation, that is, to be the being that being is being. To be it. And without struggle with the world, without an attempt to gain the world's riches, without becoming lost in the confusion of the world, without being sidetracked in the power and the importance of the world, and the dignity of it, and the social prestige of it, and the position that one should attain in it, and all of that bunk. Resignation, not mystic, not detached, but resignation, open-eyed, conscious, and informed by love. Here is the resignation that is the balance between the heart and the intellect. Here is the resignation that is neither intellectually oriented nor heart-oriented, but a perfect balance of the two. It is the only one of our feelings for which it is impossible to become a sham. Well, there goes the tractor down the hill. It never fails that when I come out here to make a tape, the tractors start. But I find, fortunately, that the tractor's sounds don't pick up so well in this microphone, so okay, we'll carry on. I'm being attacked by a mockingbird who thinks I'm sitting too close to his holly berries. Ralph Waldo Emerson had some interesting statements about love. He understood the mathematical precision of it. He said, "Love and you shall be loved." All love is mathematically just, as much as the two sides of an algebraic equation. And then, having loved excessively in his life, having suffered the abuse that such living rewards us with, he observed never self-possessed or prudent. Love is all abandonment. Never self-possessed or prudent. There are those, I'm sure, who would have said that this was a rationalization or an excuse. But love is all abandonment, the end of an attempt to make a position for oneself in a world of people, places, and things. The end of such a ridiculous attempt. To be the dominion that love is in the world of people, places, and things. Another fellow with Emerson in his name, Harry Emerson Fosdick, said that bitterness imprisons life, love releases it. Bitterness paralyzes life, love empowers it. Bitterness sours life, love sweetens it. Bitterness sickens life. Love heals it. Bitterness blinds life. Love anoints its eyes. A lady said, and the lady is Sarah Fuller, I think better known as Margaret Fuller, said that affections, like the conscience, are rather to be led than drawn. And 'tis to be feared that they that marry where they do not love will love where they do not marry. Amen. When two people loved each other, they worked together always, two against the world, a little company. Joy was shared, trouble was split. You had an ally. You had a friend somewhere who was helping, not hindering, not restricting, not restraining. Love, you see, is ever freeing. Now, what is this love that we're talking about? Well, I can't speak for others, but I can speak for this one I am. There is a love that I seem to know about, that it would appear that the images of awareness that I see called people know nothing of at all. But it's a grand love, a tremendous love, a stupendous love for an ineffable that I can't put my finger on. For the ineffable is that I call God. Now, I see that ineffable is that I call God being everything that I see. It is the basis in being for every image, every leaf, every bird song, every apple underneath an apple tree, and every bee that buzzes, every swallow that swoops, every dog that barks. Just exactly as there's an ineffable alphabet, I suppose, that could be called the Word, and in the beginning was the Word. And because of this ineffable, intangible Word, then the letters of the alphabet have their being. And I love this ineffable is that is being life, that is being this awareness. Now this is the love that I speak of and talk about and tell about and know about. Now let me tell you, this love is also being every moving, animate, living thing that I see too. Every animate and living and moving thing I see is love itself because, well, it's so hard to find words. I've said it so many times and it sounds like I'm saying the same thing over and over and over again like the mama telling the little girl not to slam the door. I say the same things over and over and over again. As much to remind myself as to tell myself. But there is mind about the business of knowing or loving itself. And then there is mind about the business of knowing or loving what knowing or what loving is. And these are the animate, living things that I perceive. So the man I see who walks across the field is not someone that I am to love, but that one is love itself. Now, I can't convince anyone else that this is how it is with me. I can't convince anyone else that I now view mankind to be love itself, even that mankind which is sworn to do me in, even that mankind which hates and reviles the image form called Bill. I can't convince anyone that I still see that image form out there as the delineation of love, either the positive delineation of it, or the negative delineation of it. Now, I don't see any more that I need to convince anybody else. I don't care who believes it. I know that in so living, I see a new love that seems to be so tremendous. Now, I cannot look out and see any one image. As any more or less love than any other image, even though some of them are the positive, apparent presentations of love, like the little boy the other day who was being shown by his father how to shoot the bow and arrow with a little rubber suction cup on the end of the arrow, and they stood out in the parking lot and he was showing the little boy how to draw the bow, and he stood there behind him, and then he let the arrow go flying and it stuck on the window of the car. And, well, here was the positive delineation of love. But what I saw there was a father, love, and a son, love. And the whole action was love delineated so that I could see love. And why should I see love? Because love is what is, and it should be seen and known and understood. But then it was that same day, in fact, almost at the same moment, that I saw the mother in the washateria there, who was hot and pregnant and distraught and wringing wet with perspiration, and she had the little boy that everything the little boy did was wrong. She shouted at the little boy and yelled at the little boy no matter what he did. And she would say, "You stop that this minute." And then she would run over and whap him one on the rear end, and he'd cry. And then a few minutes later, he would do something else, and she would say, come here this minute. You come here this minute." And the little boy would go running over, and then he got whapped again on the rear end. And in a few minutes, it was apparent when he had done something else again, and all of a sudden she says, "You come here this minute," that here was this little booger, maybe 4 years old, maybe 5. And he knew that he was damned if he did and damned if he didn't. He knew that if he didn't go, he was going to get shellacked, and that if he did go, he was going to be shellacked. And here, I'm the observer of the scene now, and I had to muster up all myself to say, what is this I see? What do I really see here? If love really is the only seeing on the scene. Now, of course, this is a lot of mumbo-jumbo to the world. This is mental manipulation to the world. This is a lot of hogwash to those who don't understand. But there are those who do understand, and most especially do I. Here is I, understand, and that's really the only place that it matters, that awareness that listens to this. Right here, right now, understand. I said to myself, now what's going on here? If love is all that's on the scene, and if love is all that can be seen on the scene, and love is doing the seeing, what do I see here? Do I see a hot, impatient, angry mother? Or do I see love and patience being delineated so that love and patience are known beyond intellectuality, beyond the intellect? Oh, and then it was I saw, why? What I saw was the obverse delineation of love, yes, but still love. Still love. Just like the finite tangible note is the obverse delineation of an infinite and intangible symphony that is already sounded. The note appears to just be coming into being and going out of being. It appears opposite in every direction, and yet the note delineates the symphony. And so I am seeing the obverse delineation of love. And I was able to say, thank you, Mother, and thank you, little boy, for delineating the love that is the only thing on the scene, for making it plain and clear upon the tables beyond intellectuality. I could look out and say, thank you, impatience, for delineating patience, and yet patience and impatience are all one patience being delineated. I could say, thank you, anger, for delineating love, because love and anger are all one love being delineated. I could say, thank you, confusion and frustration and anguish, for delineating tranquility. And then I could quit calling it by its old names. I could quit calling it anger and frustration and hatred and impatience. I could see it all as love. And I did. I did. I did because I could, and I could because it was real. And so can we all. It's possible, even though it isn't easy. It's possible. A yellow butterfly just went by, winging its way. Possessiveness would not allow a husband or a wife to exhibit love that appeared to be directed toward another. The marriage institution is rather strict in this regard, this being one of the rules of that institution. One cannot exhibit the love that one knows one is and knows the universe is. But the 1 in 1,000 and the 2 in 10,000 who come to see this love find themselves incapable of doing anything but exhibiting love and living it. Mahatma Gandhi observed that a coward is incapable of exhibiting love. It is the prerogative of the brave. Well, in human terms, yes, it's the prerogative of the brave. But as I see it, one can't help it. Once one sees he is it, and sees that the universe is it, one can't help it. And I can assure you that love recognizes and sees itself and understands itself. And those who say they love without seeing this and recognizing this ineffable love just haven't found love at all. And what they call love and profess to be love isn't love. As a matter of fact, as Mrs. Eddy put it, human love is hatred. Little bird just flew over and said, "You're right." He just said it again and again. This same fella, Gandhi, who surely lived a life of love, even though he died blown apart by is not love, because he dared live his love. Everyone who dares live his love is clobbered in one way or another. But in any event, he observed that love never claims, it ever gives. Love ever suffers. It never resents and it never revenges itself. How about that? It never resents and it never revenges itself. Only because it doesn't have to. It just doesn't have to. Those who would butt their heads against it and try to bring it down find themselves maybe gloriously successful for a time, but in that same time they will come in the most amazing ways and often in the most egregious ways to see what they have done to themselves in the process. In the process. Honest love can look out at itself and understand its human shortcomings and be patient about it. Honest love recognizes human love to be the delineation of honest love. Honest love sees that there is no such thing as a dualism of love, a divine love or a spiritual love and a human love. But it sees it all to be the infinite, ineffable, single love that identity is and its self-delineation, which are all one infinite love. And so we can talk about love in human terms and not have to think that we're coming down or not talking in the absolute. In that regard, here's a very beautiful little thing that I found, written by a gentleman whose name is Ernest Havman. I don't know who this man is, but he made a very beautiful picture in this statement. Listen. You can see them alongside the shuffleboard courts in Florida, or on the porches of the old folks' home up north. An old man with snow white hair, a little hard of hearing, reading the newspaper through a magnifying glass. An old woman in a shapeless dress, her knuckles gnarled by arthritis, wearing sandals to ease her aching arches. They are holding hands, and in a little while they will totter off to take a nap. And then she will cook supper, not a very good supper. And they will watch television, each knowing exactly what the other is thinking until it is time for bed. And they may even have a good soul-stirring argument just to prove that they still really care. And through the night, they will snore unabashedly, each resting content because the other is there. They are in love. They have always been in love, although sometimes they would have denied it. And because they have been in love, they have survived everything that life could throw at them, even their own failures. The truth is, says Helen Hayes, the truth is that there is only one terminal dignity: love. And the story of a love is not important. What is important is that one is capable of love. It is perhaps, she says, it is perhaps the only glimpse we are permitted of eternity. Alfred Adler said there is a law that man should love his neighbor as himself. In a few hundred years, it should be as natural to mankind as breathing or the upright gait. But if he does not learn it, he must perish. It's an interesting sounding cricket. I've never heard one like that. I'll just have to go and investigate. He's there underneath the apple tree, enjoying the nectar with the bees. Oh, now he's quiet. So I'll wait a minute. When he starts again, I'll go find out what he is. Well, of course, what he is love. Love is what he is. But he may look very crickety in the process. Voltaire said that love is a canvas furnished by nature and embroidered by imagination. Well, my imagination relative to that cricket is quite something at the minute. I wonder what the queen bee thinks about all of her workmen returning to the hive, all potted beyond recognition, and pasted and plastered totally and completely from all of these overripe apples. The ground is just literally covered with bees up there, all in varying states of intoxication, and every kind of a bee is there. Wasps and yellow jackets and bumblebees and honeybees. And they are really having a heyday. They are not tending to business. Strictly not tending to business. And there are butterflies there, too. And so, I wonder if this lessens the capacity of the hive to thrive properly. Love is simply more than the human connotation of gender that's been given it. The love I talk about does not exclude gender. It's being all there is to the appearance of gender, but it is so much more than gender. It is above this thing of male, female. The love that I comprehend identity to be understands all that is meant by the attraction between male and female, and understands that that which is male or female will never understand what love is. infinite love, far above all mortal strife. Infinite love, far above human aims and human intentions. Infinite love, far above even the shadows of its delineation. Infinite love, far above all human trials, tribulations, limitations, restrictions. Yet, human love, right here, right now, the delineation of the divine love. And divine love, right here, right now, being all there is to the appearance of everybody and everything. Incidentally, that strange sound coming from under the apple tree was a drunken cricket. He was plastered, he was potted, he was singing, "Show me the way to go home." And crickets aren't even supposed to make a sound in the daytime, you know. They save their chirping for nighttime when the birds have roosted.